morning, and thank you for joining us on another episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. I am your host, Sharifa Hardy, and I have an amazing show for you today. I have some great guests. I have returning guests. I have new guests, but I know you are going to enjoy this show. So I'm going to ask you to do what I always ask you to do, and that is to share this show because friends don't let friends miss out on the Roundtable Talk Show. And I have another first. This is the first time I've had an entire family join me on the show. So we're going to talk. We're going to figure it out. We're going to see what's going on. But I know we're going to have a great time. So like I said, meet your friends, text your friends, inbox them, email them, call them, wake them up, whatever you have to do. You got to let them know today's show is a hot show because it's right before the 4th of July holiday. So I want to go ahead and introduce my first guest. You may recognize his face. You may recognize his name. You may recognize his books. I don't know. But if you tuned in to my latest show, Face to Face Talk Show, which is discussing the racial divide in America and how we can all be better people, you definitely will recognize Greg Scott. Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Good morning, Sharifa. Doing real well. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us. You know what? You always have the voice of reason. You're always calm. You're always giving this wonderful advice. And it's always a pleasure to have you here on the show. But sometimes I play this little game called I Spy with my little eye. I like that game. It brings me back to my childhood. And I see a virus bomb. What is that all about, Greg?
Thank you. There's my book ad. That's the latest novel.
Go, Greg!
Now I have to see. Oh, okay, it didn't fall.
It didn't fall.
Yeah, published a year ago. It's a story about a bald-headed independent IT contractor in the Twin Cities named Jerry Barkley, and he stumbles on this humongous cyber attack, and nobody believes him when he tries to warn the world, and so he goes through a whole lot of trouble to try to fix it. By the time all the dust settles, he has to take care of business himself, and he has to come out from behind his keyboard and do physical stuff in the real world. You know, and Jerry's just an ordinary guy. He's not a superhero. He wasn't president of anything in high school, and he never worked for the government. He doesn't know anything about counterterrorism or any of those other things. But he has to solve the problem because nobody believes him, and millions of people live because Jerry Barkley stepped up. And it occurs to me that real superheroes are ordinary people who step up when they're called, even when they don't want to. And so we can all be superheroes. Read the book, stay up all night long and reading it, then get over your jet lag, and then learn a whole bunch about how cybersecurity works too.
So basically you wrote a book about yourself.
No, not about myself.
You're
no.
not a superhero?
There's a my youngest grandson used to think I was a superhero, but then he got older and now he knows better. So there's Virus Bomb and there's Bullseye Breach. Bullseye Breach is from 2015, and that's during a busy Christmas shopping season, some Russians went across the internet and they invaded Bullseye stores and they stole 40 million customer credit card numbers. And our guy Jerry Barkley helped put a stop to it. And well, there that goes. Found a good way to fight back too. So there.
No, we definitely have to check out your books. You're so interested. You're always doing something. You're passionate about cybersecurity, protecting people. And when I always say that, and then you always say, no, Sharifa, you protect yourself. But it just makes me feel better that people like yourself are there around.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We can teach, but if you want to find the most powerful person on the planet for cybersecurity, hold up a mirror and look at yourself. That's how to do it. I can teach you all kinds of stuff, but you have to execute what you learn.
Absolutely. So of course we have more questions for you, Greg, but I want to go ahead and introduce our next guest. And you may recognize her name, you may recognize her face, and you may recognize her story. We just had the honor and the privilege of having this young lady as a guest on one of my other shows, Ask Sharifa Videocast, over the last week. And I will tell you, this young lady's interview was one of the most watched, one of the most shared stories that I've done in a long time. And it's really because of her story, not her business, but her story about how she used life's challenges to overcome them and be a leading example for other people. Please allow me to introduce Tisheka Morgan-Hatter. Good morning, Tisheka. How are you?
Good morning. I'm wonderful. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you for joining me. People are still watching your story. They're still sharing your story. They're still commenting on your story. You put that magic on it.
And I appreciate it so much. Like that day when you sent me the email and you was like, do you know that your video got 1K views? I was like, no. I was so, oh my God, I was so emotional that day. I am so overwhelmed with all the love and the support that I have been receiving since that video. I truly appreciate it all. Like, oh my God, I am so beyond thankful.
Yes, but you know what I mean? That's not something I can give to you. You know what I mean? That's something that people have to respond to. I can just give you a platform to be able
Right.
to talk to people about who you are, what you do, and it's up to you to really tell your story. And what was so interesting is we did an hour interview and we didn't get to your business until maybe 45, 50 minutes into the interview. We were just talking a little bit about you and how you said, you know what? I'm ready to start my business. I'm ready to get out there. I'm ready to make it happen. We have some things that are in the plan. We're going to get a talk show or a show going on with you and what you do. But tell everyone who doesn't know, who happened to miss that interview under the rock, and it, you know, they may have been under a rock and didn't see it. But
Right.
if you missed it, you can go to facebook.com/I like Sharifa and check out Tisheka's interview, because I guarantee you by at least the 40-minute mark, that's what I heard, you will be in tears, right? So Tisheka, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay, so my name is, as she told you guys, my name is Tisheka Morgan-Hatter, and I am the business owner of 3 wonderful business. I have my taco business, I have my TLC business, and now I will be in the business of doing insurance as well. So I started my catering business in about 2019, I believe so, after the death of my husband, which just so happens today is a very emotional day for me, but I am going to push through. Today is the day that, things didn't go so good for us. So we're gonna be okay though. God is good, God is great. And I have my faith, like I told you guys before, I have my faith and I have my tribe, and today is gonna be a wonderful day. So I actually have a taco event coming up in the month of August, and as Sharifa, I don't know if she's mentioned it to you guys as well, but I will be having a little something up our sleeves come soon here, and within like the next 2 weeks. You guys stay tuned to a cooking show that I will be doing with Ask Sharifa. I will be showing you guys how to make my famous Amos Nacho Mama tacos.
That is going to be fun. That is going to be fun. Thank you for joining us today. It's very important for me that you be here and that I continue to show the world some of the things that you are doing. I have more questions for you, but I want to go ahead and introduce our next guest. Our next guest is Mr. Gary Beamish, and he's brought his family with him. And I've never had so many people on a Zoom before. I love the first. So Gary himself is a civil engineer, and he also does royal charters. Good morning, Gary. How are you?
Yeah, good morning. I'm delighted to be with you. Thank you so much. We're all good, thank you.
Where are you calling from?
We are in Dubai, in the United Arab Emirates.
What time is it?
Here, the time now is 7:15 in the evening.
Okay, so it's not too late or not too early. This is time for the family. So who have you brought with you?
I have my 3 children here. I have David, who is a sports fanatic. He's 16 years of age. He looks like he's 21, but no, he's only.
Okay, so who else do we have?
Bummer, the video is freezing.
I know. It's like we got him all the way here from Dubai. It looks like everything was working, talking to the family.
Yeah.
I saw it move. So while we try to get Gary back, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go and introduce our next. I don't know.
He's very much into sports. I have my daughter on.
This is wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and introduce my next guest. And my next guest, okay, so I think we're back. I got you, Gary. Gary, you with me? So your 16-year-old son, and then we missed everything after that.
I'm sorry?
I said we got your 16-year-old son, and then we missed everything after that. So you introduced your 2 daughters.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you get my daughters or not?
No,
No.
it's Rose.
Sorry? No, okay.
No.
All right. I'll go through it again. I'm not sure. Obviously, there's a kink in the lines somewhere. Yeah. On my right-hand side is my daughter, Hannah. She's 15 years of age. And on my left-hand side is her twin sister, Tara. And of course, Tara is also 15, being a twin. So we have double trouble here in the house all the time. And David and I try our best to put up with them. But we're a very happy, optimistic family. We are always motivated. We love other people. Obviously we have our faith, and we live on the premise that there are good people in this world. Unfortunately, not so much here in a third world country, which is of course the UAE. And we have been, unfortunately, subject now for 5 years to amnesty after amnesty that has been issued for convicted thieving criminals, UAE nationals. Right now they owe us around $2.5 million US. And although we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in winning the case, we got the arrest warrant, and then from the so-called or self-endowed Crown Prince office came an amnesty that was issued to the judicial court, and the judicial court judge issued it to me saying, you're not going to get any money for another year because there's an amnesty for this criminal.
Oh,
Thank you.
Wow. That is horrible. That is horrible.
Well,
I never heard so much about UAE. I mean, I've been in the travel industry, so I guess we get the pretty pictures and the pretty stories that's going on, and not the real stories that are going on. So,
well, it's not just one amnesty. Last year I reopened the case. I do a lot of court cases and arbitration, and last year I reopened the case, and another amnesty came through a month later. And now that last annual amnesty has just finished, and I've reopened the case again, so we will wait and see. But we have been devastated. The amount of money that's been stolen originally, that was almost 5 years ago, has done irreparable damage. And to have these amnesties, it was your President Trump who said no one is above the law. Well, that does not apply in the UAE, clearly. They don't care. I mean, as I say, my children's mother is African from Ethiopia. And I keep saying, stop hurting black lives.
That's right. That's definitely right.
It's
So
not getting through.
It's
They're
not.
I have published the paper which I have sent your good self. That paper has been published across every single available network on this planet. I get press reporters from the top newspapers around the world saying, "Ooch, we're not going to publish it." Khashoggi springs to mind. We don't want to end up in a plastic bag.
Oh, wow.
Publish it.
This
Yes.
is, I got to make sure that that you're safe and that everything, because I get to, I'm worried about the situation and what's going on. And then you have the kids, and it's like, I almost want to be like, let me go get the kids, bring the kids to America, get them out of there. Like, that's my focus. And I want to hear more. I have so many questions for you, but I want to go ahead and introduce all our guests so we can get the conversation started. Our next guest is Jasmine Jordan, and Jasmine is the founder of Eat Desserts. Love your shirt, Jasmine. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, everyone. So,
Good morning.
yeah, I'm located in Long Beach, California. Actually, July 1st is my 1-year anniversary. I just moved to California July 1st from 2018 to basically, follow my dream to be a pastry chef and, be like this, I don't know, celebrity, cake designer out here in California. So I'm originally from Virginia. And yeah, it's been just a crazy ride. All of this, COVID-19 stuff happened, and everybody's canceling their weddings and proms, graduations, all that kind of got put on hold. But it's been a very fun, crazy, exciting, productive. It's been a ride. So I'm really enjoying California and just excited to see everything everyone else is working on and just talk with other entrepreneurs. And yeah, gonna have a good show today.
Yeah, I got an idea for you.
What's that?
And I use this in my own work. I tell people today is a good day to KCA, and KCA stands for Kick COVID with Attitude, or fill in.
All right, so we said
Rock on.
KCA. Okay, gotcha.
So
Attitude, right.
Yep. So what you do for weddings and events, you do them virtually, and so you make KCA cakes, and you deliver little cakes, or you do curbside pickup. Everybody picks up their little cakes and they come home. They connect virtually over video, and they do their event over live video. So now they're connected. It's the next best thing to being there in person, and you can do it across time zones. Pitch that idea, and then maybe you can generate some revenue even while everybody still has to stay home.
Thanks, Greg.
We're going to put Greg in the marketing department.
Right.
We're just going to have them the marketing ideas. That is wonderful. What's your favorite thing to bake, Jasmine?
Favorite thing are cupcakes. They're super small, and then you can design them each way. So I call a standard, order would be, let's say, like a dozen. So even within the same theme, you can decorate each individual cupcake, completely different, but all within the same color scheme or the theme that the client wanted. So I feel like you get to flex more artistic muscle with cupcakes, and just everything's so miniature, so it's like everything's tiny, and I don't know. Cupcakes are definitely my favorite. I do wedding cakes. Those can be like a lot of pressure, like we all know, we've seen the shows where there's like the bride still like, wait, I want, roses, and I want, ribbons and glitter. And then like 72 hours before the wedding, you get a phone call like, hey, can you add like, maybe a dozen, gardenias or something to the cake? So wedding cakes definitely have like a lot more pressure and demands on it. And I just have more fun, when I'm doing cupcakes and birthday cakes, because typically when it's a birthday, it's already a celebration. Everybody's happy, you just want to drink, dance, have a good time. So birthday cakes and cupcakes are absolutely the most fun that I have. There's more freedom, and there's also more freedom in how creative and how crazy I can get with the designs.
What are some of your craziest designs?
Well, I can't say the craziest requests I've ever had. There are children in the room, but I've had just anything anyone can think of. Like people can make it into a cake, like literally anything. I mean, you could do 3D sculpture, like anything that you want for your event, it can be edible. Trust me.
Wow.
Okay, we got to ask that question another day. I have more questions for you, Jasmine, but I want to introduce our next guest, Mr. Michael Scanlon. Thank you for being here, Michael. Thank you for being so patient to join the conversation, because I'm curious to hear about your story and what you do, because you're a problem solver. You saw a problem. You saw that there was no Chamber of Commerce, and you decided to solve it. Morning, Michael.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning. It's great to be here, Sharif. I appreciate you having me on your show. I love your book. I'm going to check that out. Tisheka, I only know a brief amount of your story of what I read in that email, but my heart goes out to you. Today is the anniversary So I'm sending love your way. Gary,
Thank
I can't believe the story you were sharing. Man, that's crazy. Jasmine, I'm from Virginia too. I grew up in Manassas, Virginia. So
And I'm from Virginia Beach.
okay, yeah, I've been down there many times. So, quickly, briefly, you alluded to the fact that here in Commerce City in 2016, I realized that we didn't have a Chamber of Commerce, and I thought everywhere had a Chamber of Commerce. I was kind of stunned by it, frankly. Went around, started talking to people, signed up 100 businesses in 100 days to get that. Because I used to tell people nobody wants to be in a chamber of 7 companies. There's just not enough momentum and enough juice. So we got 100 businesses signed up in 100 days, got it started and got it going. But Commerce City is only about 60,000 people. And there was a sort of a limit. I don't believe in self-limiting beliefs, but there was only so far chamber. So I had to challenge myself and to push myself. I was going to have to leave that position. And I've started 2020 growth conferences. I tell people 2020 isn't perfect, but 2020 is the standard for clear vision. And our goal when we bring together the public sector and the private sector is to help explore those areas that are holding back innovation, where we might be able to unleash economic potential. Our last one was in the field of cannabis. You guys are familiar with cannabis. The government kind of gave it this mean name years ago, marijuana, because the government used marijuana as this sort of racist tool to oppress people of color. The fact is the plant holds incredible medicinal value. We even had a social equity breakout on our March 5th and 6th conference, where we looked at some of the possibilities around creating social equity for people of color. And then a month later, the George Floyd tragedy happened, which I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, are familiar with. And so I'm really fired up the fact that at the December conference, we're going to continue to look at social equity. We're going to continue to push the issue forward. We're going to continue to talk about the ways that the cannabis industry, which is generating millions and millions of dollars off a plant, it's a harmless plant. It won't hurt you. Literally, there are 0 proven deaths from cannabis. I could go on and on about the plant. The plant that had in the past was used to oppress people of. There's an opportunity in this industry to genuinely create opportunities and openings for people of color through social equity programs. And we're going to continue to push that dialogue and really, I want to see real results there and not just talk and reports and task force.
That's interesting because you talk about, or you mentioned the social equity program. And one of the conversations and one of the interviews I had yesterday was about some of the money that's available to African Americans and to people of color as a direct result of what's going on in the world. However, what I have seen myself is that although the money may be available, there's still a lot of businesses, for whatever reasons, have been unable to qualify for that money. It's like, oh yeah, we're giving it away. We're giving it away. All you got to do is be Black. Right. And then when you go through the application and it's like, it's way more than just being Black. Talk to us about your program.
So the first thing I need to emphasize is that as a conference, I don't come up with the solutions myself. I create a platform, bring people together. Let's look at the best ideas and talk about them. I will be honest, we had 2 breakouts. One was good. It was on expungement of criminal records. There's a number of ways it can be done. In the state of Washington, they kind of let 50,000 people clear their name at once by simply filling out a form online. The city of Denver had this very convoluted process, and they helped 70 people clear their name. So the governor, we signed something. But one of the things we emphasized at the conference was expungement alone does not make a social equity program. And never let your elected officials off the hook because they tell you they're helping people with their past convictions. That is a start. The governor talked about people being ahead of their time. When it comes to current social equity programs, there's a ton of controversy. And so I'm not going to spend a lot of time getting into like what Oakland is doing per se versus some of the others. But I really want to push the dialogue, and I'm encouraging people at my conference to push for real equity in the business, whether that means getting to the line to get licenses. Licenses always becomes a big deal. Somebody said in Oakland they call people of color chips. This is so offensive that they're being referred to as, something you might use at a poker game to get these licenses. So the devil's in the details. It gets really complicated quickly, unfortunately. Always does with wealth, but this is a true opportunity to give people of color a chance to actually get ahead in this world, in this country, where that's always been the opposite, right? Where y'all have always been held back. You've had your property stolen from you. You've had your lives stolen from you. It's so wrong. We have an opportunity to finally fix it. I'm not cutting my hair until I feel like we get some racial justice in this country. So
Well, you gonna be looking like Jesus in a minute. Then I'm gonna tell you that right now.
well, and one last thought, and then I want to hear what all y'all are thinking. One last thought. My wife goes, "That's not a thing," and I said, "Well, it might not be a thing, but it reminds me every morning that I have to stay. I'm not letting this moment go. This time feels different. I really want to see racial justice in this country for a change."
Yeah, maybe this time around we'll get it right. I sure hope so.
Oh, that is so sweet. So what specifically can people do to learn more about the programs that are available and the opportunities that are available to them?
You know, it's on a state-by-state basis, and then it even becomes on a city-by-city basis.
California, let's get to California.
You know, I'm in Colorado, so my conference tends to be Colorado heavy. I don't know a lot about California. I will be honest with you. The impression from afar is that California kind of messed everything up, not just the social equity piece, but there was layer upon layer of bureaucracy to get it going. It's frankly cheaper to just continue doing the black market weed in California. So
did you just say that aloud on the Round Table Talk Show? Michael, I'm worried about you right now.
and that's not what we want. That's the problem. If you have overregulation and overtaxation, you encourage people to go the wrong direction. And it's really hard for people just to even open up a store in California, to say nothing of trying to get a license to a minority so that they can open up a store in California. So unfortunately, I don't have a lot of positive solutions or encouragement for your audience on what the social equity, other than lean on their state legislators, lean on your local city council people. If you're in like Los Angeles, I know Los Angeles is trying to push something. If you're in San Francisco, and come together as a group and just demand it, because the opportunity is there. And the industry recognizes it. And the industry is mostly white. There's no sugarcoating that.
Go.
And there's an opening here.
Mm-hmm.
I see you.
Tisheka, you have some thoughts?
I'm telling my mom to go ahead buy. I'm like, you can't.
Okay, I was like, I thought you was about to start your own marijuana business. I'm like, she was like, I'm gonna have 4 businesses now.
Hey, I've been like, I'm in Arizona, so
might have to think about that. We need some of those social reform opportunities.
No, but absolutely, like just piggybacking a little bit, like what Michael's saying, and we're joking, but in actuality, so this past weekend, I had a friend of mine, come out and visit, and they came from Virginia, so one of the things that first thing, most people who are visiting California, they want to go to dispensaries. They want to see, the whole California thing, like, oh my gosh, it's legal, it's decriminalized in California.
Same here in Colorado, yep.
I searched and searched, actually driving around the area, online searches, social media posting, like, hey, someone tag me. And there are maybe less than 2 dozen Black-owned dispensaries. And I'm talking about just like in the state, that's Northern and Southern California. And it was just so weird. Like, okay, you think about how many tens of thousands, of Black and brown people who've been, criminalized for this. And now it's like, they're not even, it's almost like pushed out of an industry that, typically they would be, impersonated for, incarcerated for. So it's kind of crazy. Like, I literally had to drive for hours. And there was one that was like kind of like in the LA area, but that's online. They do delivery. So they're a niche kind of service where they only deliver it to you. And then outside of that was kind of Northern California, like in the Bay Area. And, I wasn't going to go to Oakland, just to, go get some, marijuana. But it's just, it made me think a lot, about that. Like, it's not really easy or accessible to see minority or women-owned, businesses. And, it's, in this industry in particular. So I just thought that was like an interesting thing when you were talking about that, Michael, like just seeing the discrepancy of who the consumers and who is being criminalized for it, but then who are the business owners, So I definitely would love to see more women, we're half the population, but you don't find a lot of women-owned dispensaries. And it's kind of like a white male dominated thing. And I would like to see, that just be everyone. I would like to see, you know, basically the business side of it reflect the consumer side of it. So
You have to understand this, Jasmine. You're talking about you're trying to put a woman in the field of a man. It's security reasons. It's more to it than just it's a lot to it. Because you have to think about this. Would you want to be running a business like that? If a man already has to worry about getting robbed, would you want to get robbed? Could you handle that?
But to me,
it's a lot.
It's like, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying it's a lot to think of. It's easier. I'll say this. It's easier to get done.
Well, I wouldn't even have to be there because the purpose of, well, in my mind, the purpose of me being a business owner is I don't have to be behind the counter. You know, I want to be on the beach somewhere, enjoy, you know, and have my employees do that. But no, it's just, to me, you know, representation.
Wouldn't it still be your business, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Not, right? So it would still be being robbed.
Well,
or not.
I feel like that can happen in anything. I mean, you know, if you're going to have a grocery store, if you're going to have a check cashing place, if you're going to have a convenience store, if you're going to have a bank, you know, if you're a bank owner, you run that risk.
Like we try to take on everything ain't for everybody. Basically, everything ain't for everybody. We try to do like no, like everything ain't for everybody. Like no what's for you and no what's good for you, but everything isn't for everybody.
Well, I'm not speaking for me. I'm speaking more of a larger thing because individually, this is what I do. So I stay in my lane. This is my baby, you know, dessert. But what I'm saying is, as a whole, like going into dispensaries and, you know, you see who the, you know, not only who the owners are, but who the employees are. I'm just saying that, you know, there should be more diversity in the fact of, okay, most people well, I'm not going to say most. I don't want to throw a number or any kind of figure when I don't know that to be true. But what I'm going to say is more often than not, I would say, and I think you guys probably could agree with me, that it's not just, you know, 20s to, you know, maybe mid-30 white males who consume cannabis. That's not the facts. That's not what reflects, you know, this country. So all I am saying is, whether it be Latino, you know, whether it be Asian, it doesn't always have to be Black. My thing is not everything's Black, you know, it's just, it has to be diverse. I feel like the business owners and the business side of it needs to reflect the people who are being served. And I'm sorry, but not only men enjoy it. Like, okay, for instance, when I want to see things like little bowls or the paraphernalia, the little accessories, everything is kind of like cartoonish, Rick and Morty. It's kind of like, you know, that whole masculine stoner aesthetic. And it's like, okay, how about something pretty and girly and, you know, like Hello Kitty bong or something like that?
But see, to me, that hold on, that just seems.
I'll show you later, Jasmine. Because it's out there, sweetie. It's out for facts. It's out for a fact.
Okay. I want to find it. I just want to find it. I want to see it. I want that to be accessible to everyone. I want everyone to see themselves reflected in, you know, in the industry that they're spending a lot of money in.
It's there. Trust me. It's there. Fact. That's a fact that I know. There.
I think there may be a happy medium. And I think sometimes if one person isn't seeing something, if you're going into a store, so you're going, and this is important to you, no matter what the industry is, what I always say is that you can create that. Because one of the things that you focused on is the beauty aspect of some of the paraphernalia that people are utilizing in this industry. Because this is an industry that is still the wild, wild west. There's a lot that's going on behind the scenes that people aren't aware of. But then there are aspects of it that you may be able to be a business owner or be a part of. I think we just have to figure out what works for us personally and go from there. Mm-hmm. Gary, we got the kids. I didn't expect to go too far into this conversation. I did give you an opportunity to mention royal charters. Talk to us about royal charters.
Well, they were from Queenie, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II of England. Royal charters arise after, well, for me, 15 years of education going through honours degrees and master's degrees, and then 5 years to get actually chartered. It's the same as a PhD, basically. So once you have a Royal Charter, you're swinging from the top of the tree, so to speak. I actually happen to have 5 of them in different industries, and the environmental, obviously, issues are close to my heart. Before I left the UK, I was the national policy advisor to the UK government and also to the European Parliament. But then I found out the real reason they wanted me was not for my knowledge on policies and the way forward for this world, which was 25 years ago, but it was actually to be a spin doctor. So when something went, shall we say, haywire in the environmental issues, they wanted me to come up with something to detract the press, publicity, radios, etc. I didn't take too kindly to that. So I waved bye-bye to Parliament and left and went to sunny Oman, working on the completion of a big port project there. And yeah, I mean, I started my own company. I went to Qatar after that for 4 years, where my son was born. And then we came to the United Arab Emirates, where my daughters were born in 2005. We came here in 2004, so 16 years ago now. And I started my company in 2008, late 2008, the day the Lehman Brothers went down. I remember banging my head hard against the wall thinking any time in the last 30 years would have been better. Yeah, exactly. But as it turns out, I mean, I deal a great deal with contract. As a chartered civil engineer, my upbringing from the age of about 17 has been in contracts and law. And I spent 5 years studying those subjects throughout my life, and I've been dealing with them now for roughly the last 40 years. So I deal a lot with courts, writing memorandum, arbitration, writing statements of case, statements of claim, and basically advising people as to what they should be doing, but they're not doing, be it operationally or from a contractual perspective. Every day I do that. There's not a lot else to do here in the UAE. I mean, UAE is it's a miniature part of India, basically. I mean, directly across the water. You're talking about cannabis earlier on, and I'm thinking the UAE, of course, has got zero crime. It's got more crime than America. I mean, every solicitor's practices are setting up 10 a week, and they have been doing so forever. And 99.9% of the cases that they've got are drug related. You've got Afghanistan directly opposite, Pakistan directly opposite. If I wanted a kilo of cocaine, I could get it in half an hour, literally. It's easy. But here, of course, I mean, if you even mention the word marijuana or cannabis or pot, you're in for the death sentence immediately. You disappear into the sand, basically. So it's not tolerated here, but of course everybody has got it. It's a very taboo subject, as many subjects are in what you'd expect. This is a third world dictatorship country. It's a censored country. It's totally censored. You know, you have to have a VPN to go onto CNN News.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so for the people who don't know, Greg, explain to us the VPN. That's your lane, because I need layman's talk. What is a VPN?
Virtual private network. So you connect, in your case in UAE, you connect to a VPN server somewhere in the world, and then CNN feeds the VPN, and then you see encrypted traffic between you and the VPN. Theoretically, the government doesn't know that you're watching CNN. They just know that you're connected to some kind of a VPN. However, governments are getting smarter for that stuff. And so they can. It's easy to spot UDP port 1133 back and forth. And so governments more and more are learning how to filter out VPN traffic. And so it turns out it's an arms race. So you find one server over here, that one's stopped. You find another server over here. Maybe you change ports. There's all kinds of back and forth.
Yes, I think they do that with the movie industry as well. Like all the bootleg movies, like they're released overseas before they're released in America, and they have all these servers that all the studios are always trying to shut down, but they can't shut them down because as soon as they shut down one server, then they take the movies and they're always on another server. I'm like, this is like this whole little
No end to the
world.
foreign counterpart stuff. China's a hotbed for that.
Mhm.
I have a character in my fictional world who runs an email relay service in Shanghai. No questions asked. Forwarding price is negotiable.
Yeah. Well, here in Dubai, we have the CNN and BBC News, which is frequently shut down from 8 o'clock
Oh, you
in
frozen.
the evening until about midnight. It's the OSN network, which is run in Dubai. And these third world country dish dash frock wearing heathens, they shut down every movie which comes out of America is not allowed here. Cartoons, you can get 20 of those on the channels, but the channels decrease. I say they lose one movie channel a week, and they have been doing so for the last year. And now, I mean, even Sky News was removed recently because of the support for Trump, of course. I guess some political attachment there. But it's so difficult to get any news. Without a VPN, we'd be dead in the woods. We'd be 20 years behind the times. And so one relies on, if you like, the VPN network to get up-to-date news as to what's going on in the world. And the only way we have found out the problems that America's been having, not only with racial discrimination and the COVID issues, but the only way we can find out is by VPNs. Otherwise, of course, we are not allowed to know. We're not allowed to be told. Everything you hear here is, of course, it is all basically utter rubbish. It's propaganda. Everything.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Gary. Let me ask you this. Do you did you just go to the internet and connect to us now? Like, is Zoom and all those other communications allowed? Or did you have to go through?
Yes. I use ExpressVPN, which of course is an American product. And it works beautifully in the UAE. It's the only one that does now, the only one remaining. So thank you, America.
Yes.
So
that is interesting. Go ahead, Greg.
You're not a native. Why not just move to Canada or somewhere? Why stay there and put up with all that?
Because they've got 12 million dirhams or $2.5 million of our money. They have bankrupted one of my companies. And we haven't got the money to leave the country. We can't even afford a flight. We can't afford to go anywhere for 5 years now because of the theft of the money originally and the hundreds of thousands of effectively dollars that I had to spend on the case to get it up and running and to follow that through for a further 3 years. I'm self-employed. I work for myself. I have 2 companies, but basically I had to give up all my time. My time is my salary. If I'm not working, I don't have income. That went on for 3 years. I had to borrow money from here, there, and everywhere. And so you can imagine, I'm riddled with debt. I'm paying unbelievable sums of money back in interest. And my money has been frozen for the last 3 years because of these stupid amnesties, unconscionable amnesties. It just goes to prove that the courts are corrupt. If they're going to issue an amnesty against a judicial court order and a judicial arrest warrant, and then overwrite it because someone calling himself the Crown Prince, you can call me Your Highness, but what right does it give you to override a judicial court? No one's above the law, right? Not in this country.
I'm really glad you're on a VPN.
We just suffer. Sorry?
I'm really glad you're on a VPN here, so that the Crown Prince isn't listening in on anything.
You want to go to my LinkedIn profile, and you'll see what I'm publishing and sending to all the dictators' websites and all the dictators themselves. I got a couple of thumbs up, one from the Maktoum family, the dictators of Dubai, and another one from the dictators of Sharjah. So I got a thumbs up from those dictators. But I am very open, very honest, factual, contractual, and legal in everything I say. I make sure that I don't tread the line or tread over that line because I don't want to become another Kagoshi. And,
Yes.
Don't show up in any embassies. Connect.
Hey, well, at the moment we can't even afford to go to the airport, so we're in luck there. I've got a Range Rover that's been sat outside in the garden for 2 years. I can't afford to re-register it. I can't afford to have it serviced or anything else. I mean, the cost of living here is 10 times more than America. 10 times more than the UK, and
Wow.
probably 10 to 15 times more than in America. It is horrendously
All those
expensive.
Crown Prince taxes.
Well, the tax here is actually 87%, but it's in stealth. It's stealth taxes.
Yeah.
Everything is
Wow.
stealth tax.
Yeah.
Everything.
A lot going on.
It is-
Definitely
Put on a new bedroom, right?
a lot going on here. Michael, you started this conversation. I'm thinking I'm nice, I'm safe. I'm just going to talk about some Chamber of Commerce, help a couple of businesses, and all of a sudden. So when you're discussing your topics and trying to get people, not trying to get people, but providing a platform for people to go into this industry, do you see as much conflict? Do you see as much, people who are completely for it, and you have other people who are completely against it?
The people against it seem to be coming around.
Mhm.
And you see that in polling numbers, it is becoming more and more acceptable in this country. I want to throw out two quick things. Thank you for giving me a chance to speak again. There's a thing called the Black Cannabis Equity Initiative. I encourage you all to follow the Black Cannabis Equity Initiative. He's going to start with Colorado. He's going to hold these companies accountable. So when you're looking for a Black-owned company, he'll have them at the top of the list. If there's none that are Black-owned, you can go, do you have any Black employees? Do you have any Black directors on your board? Do you have any? He's going to score these companies so that you can respond accordingly as a consumer. I think that's a positive approach to that problem. And then the other thought about trying to start a dispensary, if you want to counsel someone on getting into the cannabis industry, which is growing at like 40% a year and is not a bad economic decision in its, beware going into anything that touches the plant. Touching the plant becomes a whole lot more complicated. They talk about the gold rush. The guys that made money in the gold rush in Colorado in the 1850s and in California in the 1890s weren't the people mining the gold. It was the people selling the picks and the shovels and the blue jeans. And that's where you would want to go into business. It takes $2 million to start a dispensary. If you can afford $2 million to start a business, don't start a dispensary. Start a delivery business. Start a consulting business. There's a lot of different directions you can go. And I appreciate you giving me a chance to kind of throw those two things out there, because those are the things I've seen in working with all different businesses in the cannabis sector. The plant is really complicated. It's really hard. The government comes after you from every angle. You have to pay 6 levels of taxes here in Commerce City if you grow marijuana.
Well, welcome to the UAE.
Yes. Wow, we've had such an interesting show. We've had different views. We've learned. I never knew. I have a young lady in Dubai who helps me with everything. I've known her husband since about 2004, and she's been helping me for at least a year now. We don't discuss what's going on there, what's going on here. She just helps me. I had no idea. And in my mind, I thought Dubai was a lot less expensive, because I met them when they were in India. Don't laugh at me, Gary.
Well,
the kids are laughing at me too.
Yeah, well, they're not laughing at you. They're laughing at the premise that anybody would possibly think that this country is cheaper than any other country in the world. It's 10 times more expensive, as I say, than the UK, and at least 10 to 15 times more expensive than anything you'd ever find or pay for in America. It's astronomically expensive. There's a lot of European, including American teachers who come here. They see the dollars, and then of course, as the children will tell you, we lose 10 teachers from their school alone every single year because they realise just how difficult it is to live here. So they come, they go, and I've been here, as I say, for 16 years. We would have gone from here half a decade ago if it wasn't for the fact that they've got our money and they're still using it. And I do hope they're enjoying it, because sooner or later I want it back. But, but you've got to stay hopeful, haven't you?
Yes. I've enjoyed this show. It's been such amazing. Thank you for the opportunity to allow me to meet the children. But what I do at the end of every show is just simply allow my guests the opportunity to speak directly to the audience, to let them know what you want them to take away from your appearance on this show. And we're going to start with you, Tisheka.
Oh, hi, you guys. I didn't really say too much. Didn't say too much, but what you guys can take away is I hope you guys learned some valuable information. I did learn some things that I didn't know. So I hope that you guys that are tuning in learned some valuable information as well as I did. And you guys just be safe, keep your faith, and just keep pushing.
Absolutely. Greg, what do you have for us?
Well, of course, I want you to buy my books.
Yay!
This book.
I'll be looking for an illegal copy online. Thank you for that.
This book has technology, but it's also got plenty of politics and religion in it. You'll be entertained. But the other thing I wanted to say too, Gary, for your kids, go to STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. We need you. We need young people, and especially people of color and women. We need your talent and we need your brains. There's too many middle-aged white guys like me, and so let's you're open arms. Study your butt off and come on over to the technology side.
Who's that? Is that Gary? What's his name?
Say, what was the question?
Who was the person that just said the STEM program? Who was that?
Greg. That was Greg.
Greg.
My son is a part of that program already.
Your son is. Say that again.
My son is a part of that program.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of STEM programs out there, lots of reach out efforts, and take advantage of those. Technology runs the world these days, and we need your talent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the children study the UK syllabus curriculum, which of course STEMs is endemic within the UK syllabus. It's science and technology through and through. That is my background as a scientist and as a technologist as well as an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
So I try not to get them into my industry in particular, but encourage them in matters of the science and education. Of course, it's very, very important.
Yes.
So
And
Gary,
if you know how stuff works, you can take advantage of it and maybe find different ways to find your money when crown princes try to steal it.
Oh my God, the laugh was in slow-mo.
okay, Gary, when you're ready, speak directly to the audience.
She is so weak.
You know what?
Well,
it is Friday. Gary, close a few
Well,
minutes.
no, because it was in slow-mo, so it was like an evil villain in a movie. Yeah, exactly. So it was like it was just so Hollywood the way he laughed.
A few seconds, Gary, to let us know what you want us to take away from your appearance.
Simply, I think the greatest lesson in life, which is not to have people investing their money or supplying goods or services to the United Arab Emirates or, in fact, the Gulf as a whole, but particularly the UAE, because as the evidence shows, you're unlikely to get anything, and you're likely to spend $500,000 through court cases, and then they find an amnesty for the convicted criminal. So if you ever provide any goods or services whatsoever to the UAE, do not expect to get paid. This is a common thing. I'm just one of many, many, many people who have been had by these con men and the dictatorship regime that exists in the United Arab Emirates. It's horrible. It's grotesque. It's unconscionable. It's unethical. What can I say? But life goes on. So here we are. We still smile. We still breathe. Talking of which, crikey, I mean, the COVID situation, I've heard in America, it's getting really bad. I just feel so sorry for you guys because it's bad enough being here, but I don't know. I don't know what the answer is to this, but apart from staying at home.
Stronger, right?
What did you say, Greg?
As they say, what does not kill you makes you stronger.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We will
Michael has that.
We live, we learn, we grow. Michael, what do you have for us?
Well, I appreciate the time being on here today. I will give you all my website right here. If you go to my website, that's 2020growthconferences.com, and it's not coming into focus, is it? But that's 2020growthconferences.com. We've got a report on it from the last conference we did if you're interested in a host of policy issues going on around cannabis. If anybody wants to email me, my email's on there. We'd love to continue the dialogue offline with folks. I really appreciate the time to be with y'all. I love seeing other people's perspectives and hearing what people are thinking. I can't believe the perspective I got from the UAE today. I'm really sorry to hear that one. And Tisheka, on this, I hate to say big day of yours, my love and thoughts are going out to you, sister. I wish you the best with all that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Here.
It, you guys. Hey, I'm just gonna push through. I'm not gonna let today be a sad day. Jasmine, you better send me a cupcake. I accept.
Yay! I'll give you our post office address.
You better when I come out there in the next 2 weeks, and I'm not playing.
Wait, I thought you were coming in August. You're coming sooner?
July.
Okay. You said in the beginning, in the very first 2 minutes, you were like you and
July.
Sheree cooking something up. Okay. Yes. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Okay. I'll see you then.
Yeah. So Jasmine, go ahead and take us out.
You saved the best for last. Thank you.
I didn't say that. I just said take us out. Take us out.
That's love right there. Okay, so
Hold
it was so great talking to all of you guys and ladies. And it's just like, this is my first time. So I know, Tisheka, you've been up here. Like, I've watched you. You have like one of the best interviews I've ever seen. And like Greg, like you're one of my favorites. Like you never know. But I'm like watching your episodes and I'm like, I just want to hang in the basement and like eat pizza and watch Star Trek with Greg. Like he's cool. So like everybody, like Gary and your family was nice talking to you, and Michael. It was so great, talking to you. I'm like, I gotta hit up Michael, find out where I can get the good, and then I gotta get some of Tisheka's tacos to go with it because I'm getting hungry afterwards. But everybody was so.
You need to hit me up because Michael, I know what to do. Hello, how you do?
Okay. Why not both? So
I'm sharing the love.
But yeah, I had a good time today. I didn't really know what to expect because, I hadn't been up here, but, this was good. This was good. So thank you, Sharifa, for inviting me up here.
Yay, thank you, Sharifa.
Yeah. We all got to just kind of share our thoughts. We're all kind of just different people, different, backgrounds. And I guess that was my takeaway from it. But, for the guests, for the audience watching, so yeah, like my business is dessert. I can be found on social media at Eat Dessert, so EATDZRT. And my website, because I am based in California, but I will begin shipping and just, trying to branch out because of this COVID-19. My website is EATDZRT.com. And yeah, just, sign up for my mailing list because I will start to transition to shipping pretty soon. So that was it.
We should put websites and email addresses and stuff in the Facebook comments later. We should maybe
Okay.
That's a wonderful idea, Greg. Let's make that happen. I want to thank you all for joining me today. Thank you to the children as well. Thank you all for being here on the show and being my guest. Yes.
Can I just say one thing? It's about this atrocious situation of racism I keep hearing, and people having to say Black Lives Matter. Can I just remind everybody, we all came from Africa. Everybody on this planet. So I don't understand, what is this white supremacy? Everybody had dark skin millions and millions of years ago. We all came from Africa. I don't understand what the problem is. Tell them.
I don't. But what we're going to have to do is, that's why we have our next show, Face to Face Talk Show, Wednesdays at 10 a.m. I believe you signed up for that, Gary. I think I saw your name come across my desk. So I was like, Gary's going to be a part of what we're doing. I'm so excited. We're going to talk about race on Face to Face. It is a holiday weekend. I want to thank everyone for tuning in, but I'm also going to ask you, please be safe. Please stay in the house. Please do not go out. If you have to go out, only go out for essentials. That's a new word that we've learned during this whole quarantine. Essentials. That's our new favorite word. But be safe. Do not drink and drive. Have a good time, because we want you to make it home alive. I want to thank you all for supporting the show. If you are interested in being a guest, please visit the website at AskSharifa.com and select Be a Guest. Until Monday morning, at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Everyone have a safe and a blessed weekend. Bye now.